So I just went live.
Then we should be able to see that on your page, right? On your Facebook page.
Yes.
Yeah, I look at that too. Okay.
You want to start from the beginning then.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oops.
I'd asked that question.
All right.
Yeah, let's get organized.
Get started. All right, here we go, people. Okay, let's try this again. All right, it is Friday night, day 59 of my challenge. How is everyone doing? Welcome, welcome. We're gonna have a little fun tonight. And so we're going to be, I'm here tonight with a conscious partner, and we're going to have an event called the Dating Games, singles edition tonight. But if you are a couple, we actually have different events for couples. So for couples, the idea is really just to be able to allow couples to get to know each other on a deeper level, learn some new emotional tools to help better their relationship, and make it a date night. You know, have some fun, and and, uh, and get to know each other a little bit more. But tonight we're going to do a singles version. Okay, so you'll be able to see a mini version. Normally, we actually will have 18 people, 9 guys, 9 girls, and as we go through some topics, we're going to break into breakout rooms as we do like mini exercises. And so there'll be 6 in each room, so 3 girls, 3 guys, and it's an opportunity just to learn a new topic, but at the same time get to know some other people, right? And without having any, like the pressure of an actual date, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be relaxed, and you'll be able to see what it's like. And so if you're watching this live, feel free to could comment if you want, or ask some questions. But afterwards, I'll put a a link to the Facebook group. So if you want to know of future events, the singles and the couples dating games, it'll all be in one for now. So just add yourself to it, and when we have events, you'll be notified. But tonight we got 6 great, lovely human beings, and we're gonna get started. All right. So here we go. So what is it? So it's singles dating games. Okay, it's the new way to date online. All right, it's kind of like a coffee date without, like I said, any pressure really. We're here to just have some fun and learn something about ourselves and meet some new people. This was actually started by Bruce Doherty and Dr. Giselle Tennant. They're based out of Calgary, and it started in the spring of 2017. When they first started, they started out in pubs and bars, so in person. Obviously, with the pandemic, we had to go on Zoom, so we're going right to your living room, and so. The cool thing, what I really liked about the events is that it's very casual, you know, and especially designed for men to be comfortable coming out and learning about these topics. And a lot of times, you know, the men are they're very knowledgeable. And so it's been a really, really great experience so far. So hopefully you like it. And with the Conscious Partner, there's actually 48 different events. They're designed to be fun, affordable, and relevant. And so imagine if you actually knew what your core values are. Imagine if you actually knew how to to fight properly and avoid conflict. And so each event actually goes into the topic and actually helps you learn and understand that. And the cool thing is we want the men and the women there, because the key is to be able to actually grow together and to learn the other perspective, right? A lot of times we kind of just see things just from our own biases. So by doing it together, we can learn and grow together. Okay, so that is the Conscious Quest. And so let's start with the icebreaker. Okay, so this is where I need your participation, people. Okay, so would you rather A or B? COVID's over, but you can't air travel for 2 years, or COVID ends in a year and you can air travel then. Which one do you guys choose?
Do we start now?
Yeah, we're starting. Yeah.
I'd go
A?
with B.
Renisa said A. Okay.
I
Jeremy?
said A.
A.
Oh, Chantel said A. Okay.
No, I said B.
Oh, B.
I go with
Okay.
I'd go with B as well.
Okay. Ends a new year. You can air travel then. Okay. But you can still road trip if you do A.
Yeah, but my closest relative is in Toronto,
Same.
and the rest of them are in Newfoundland,
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Cool.
and I can't go to the States. So
Yeah.
but if you need to go to relatives, you can maybe stay at like a hotel or stay at a friend's house or you can meet a friend and stay at their house.
Yeah.
Just travel.
All right. So next one. Which knight invented the round table?
King Arthur.
That's what I thought when I first saw this too. Any other guesses?
I can't guess the knight himself, but Arthur wasn't a knight; he was a king, and he had his knights. I know some of his knights. I just have no way of knowing which one would have invented the round table. I'd be showing off if I tried to make a guess.
All right. So circumference.
With an E.
Ba-dum, boom.
Yeah, with an E.
Okay. So how about take a look at this one? So what do you guys see there?
Greased legs.
Does it look like a shiny pair of legs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Legs.
Yeah, it does, right? But what if I told you that
Those are arms.
no, those are legs.
Are they legs?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
But what if I told you those shiny marks is just white paint?
Oh.
I honestly thought it was someone who shaved, and that was like what was left.
It possibly could be. But yeah, isn't it amazing though how our perception can change when you have new information?
Mhm.
Right? And that's really all we're trying to do here. Just provide some information for you guys to just hopefully see things with a different perspective. All right, let's get started, people. All right, singles, dating game. Ooh. All right, so our first quote. It's hard to start the next chapter of life when you keep going back and rereading the last chapter. It's time to turn the page. So our first topic is attachment style. Okay. All right. So not sure who is familiar with it, but let's have a little bit of fun here before we get into the nitty gritty. So here are some examples of characters. Okay, on the left are actual TV characters, or like that's not Julia Roberts, that's Erin Brockovich. That's Monica from Friends. Okay, and then on the right is real people. So yeah, so the real people. So let me ask you, who here has high self-esteem and who has low self-esteem? Well, let's start with high self-esteem. Who do you guys think has high self-esteem?
Like person or real people? Dr. Phil does.
Yeah, okay. So
Michelle Obama.
yeah, definitely. Anybody else you guys think? All right. How about low self-esteem?
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Yep.
Britney Spears.
Britney Spears, yeah. Anybody else, you think?
George Costanza.
Yeah, definitely, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome. Okay. So how about in a relationship? How much drama do these people have? Who do you think has very little drama?
Maybe same Dr. Phil and Michelle Obama.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
Yeah.
I want to say George because I don't think he can get a relationship.
Aaron Brockovich.
Yeah. So how about who do you think has a lot of drama?
Gary.
Britney.
Yes. Britney, oh yeah. Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson.
Jerry Seinfeld, because he's always shouting about things.
All right. So let's see here. So we may not realize it, but we are subconsciously basing our opinion of others based on their attachment style. So what is attachment style? Well, to put it very simply, attachment style is the basis for being secure or insecure. And so there are 4 different attachment styles: secure, anxious, preoccupied, fearful, avoidant, and dismissive, avoidant. You may at times hear other terms for them, but the meanings will all be the same. Okay, so I'm going to describe them, and then we'll get into some exercise in a little bit here. Okay, so what is secure? This is an easy one. Okay, people who are secure, physical and emotional closeness is easy. They don't play games. They forgive quickly. They communicate well. They share their emotions and feelings easily. They take responsibility. They resolve differences without getting defensive, and they're responsible for their partner's well-being. Sounds pretty good, right? And so these people with this attachment style, they have low anxiety and low avoidance. Okay, and the one I'm sharing with you, and as I'm describing, these are all extremes. Okay, and really we all have a little bit of each. All right, so anxious, preoccupied. They're the ones who are needy, who have drama. Okay, they typically use a lot of manipulative tendencies. They stonewall, they withdraw attention, they may sulk, they constantly think about the relationship, they make empty threats to get attention, they constantly try to contact their partner, like text them like 50 times, and they get angry, but their anger is actually directed at themselves. It's actually not to the other person. And so people with this attachment style, they have low avoidance and high anxiety. And as I'm going through this, just understand that none of them are really actually bad. It's just, this is just a framework for you to actually understand who you are and why you may act or behave in a certain way. Okay? When you can understand, then you can actually start to make some changes. Okay, so fearful avoidant. They're the ones who have low self-esteem and they're untrusting. Okay? They have a negative view of themselves and others. They fear rejection, abandonment, and vulnerability. They're more likely to stay with their abusive partner. They have low self-confidence. They have difficulty trusting both themselves and others. And they find it hard to express feelings or show affection. And they tend to hesitate to get into relationships, but become quickly dependent. All right, and so people with this attachment style, they have high anxiety and high avoidance. Okay, and then the last one is dismissive avoidant. Okay, they're always busy, they want space. They're always looking for someone better. They're secretive, they may be vague, they want no help, workaholic. They view their partner as restriction to freedom. They pull away when things seem to be going well. They don't respond easily to partners' bids for attention, and they won't ask for or accept help. For these, typically, they're always looking for an out. Okay, so these people, they have low anxiety and high avoidance. All right, so here's a cheat sheet. You might want to take a screenshot when I finish them. Okay, so again, the secure attachment style, low anxiety, low avoidance, no games. They treat the partner well and they share openly. Anxious, preoccupied. High anxiety, low avoidance. They're the ones who typically create drama to try to manipulate, and they have empty threats. Fearful avoidant. Have high anxiety and high avoidance. They're the ones usually they're fearful, they have low self-esteem, and they have trust issues. And then the dismissive avoidant. They have low anxiety, high avoidance. They typically want their space. They have high self-esteem, and they typically find fault in their potential partner. All right, so attachment style. Okay, so we're gonna do an exercise, and so this is kind of how it works. All right, so an example. So I was sitting at my computer, and suddenly, out of nowhere, a spider ran across my keyboard. So what would you do? One, I watched it run across my keyboard and then followed it as it went across the desk trying to reach its web. Two, I screamed and jumped up, pushing over my desk and ran from the other room to get the fire extinguisher. Three, I stood up to give the spider space, and then after it was out of sight, I took my computer and went into the other room to work. Or four, I grabbed the vacuum cleaner and sucked it up so that it wouldn't bother me again. So
I'm 4.
so is Kayla your number 4? Okay.
Yeah.
How about the rest of you guys?
I'm number 1. I just watch it do its thing.
All right.
4 for me.
Okay, cool. So the exercise will be to match the attachment style to the response, so the behavior. So if you guys took a shot of the 4 different attachment styles, which one do you think is secure? So there's one for each, okay? So which one do you think is secure? Which one do you think is anxious, preoccupied, and then which one's dismissive and which one's fearful?
Three is dismissive, right? Oh,
Well, there's one for each, so you guys can talk amongst yourself and try to figure that out. I'll give you. Well, what do you think? Actually, the actual exercise is kind of coming up, but well, what do you think number 1 is?
Be secure.
secure.
Yeah.
Yeah, secure.
Secure, yeah. How about number 2? What attachment style do you think that is?
Fearful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What time? Now? Oh, oops. So you guys think it's fearful?
Yes.
Okay, well,
Uh,
it's actually anxious. Remember, the anxious attachment style is the one that creates drama. It's like, ah!
True.
Okay, so just remember that.
Okay.
Okay, number 3.
Fearful.
Dismissive.
So there's only 2 left, right? The dismissive and fearful. Which one do you think is which?
I say dismissive.
Same. Dismissive.
Oh yeah.
It's fearful,
What?
right? So fearful, they hesitate, they don't want to confront, right? A dismissive, they have high confidence, right? And so they're like, oh, I don't care. I'll just suck it right up. So those are the 4 attachment styles. All right, so here's the breakout room. Okay, so normally we would have a break room. Normally we'd have 18 people, and then we break it down to 6. Okay, so this is the actual exercise. Okay, here's the cheat sheet. Does everyone have it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So here are the 2 scenarios. Okay, so same, just like what we just went through with the spider. Each one will have 1 attachment style. Which one do you think is which? Okay, so we'll start with the left. You guys can speak freely.
Well, I don't want to initiate conversation because I've gone through a lot of these scenarios in one of the online events you did a month ago. And so I already know a lot of the answers.
Okay, so welcome, Richard. Can you see my screen?
So Jeremy, you can help others then.
Yeah, you can help guide. What do you guys think?
Is the first one fearful?
Well, the fact that they would leave first seems to go hand in hand with, I wish I could just swipe for the screenshot, the dismissive one who dislikes attachment and tends to distance themselves from others.
True.
Well, which one? Actually, no, I'll let you guys discuss.
Okay, we'll give you a hint. Which one is all about drama?
The block
might
the door,
help.
number 2.
So, and what style is attached to a lot of drama?
Oh my God.
Number 4 is kind of an internal drama that avoids confrontation. So an avoidance is fearful.
Which one do you
So
think
number 4 is fearful avoidance.
would be the most secure?
I would say number 3 because it's the most present. It doesn't try to control the situation, it instead reflects on what it wants to make of the situation.
I will agree.
All right.
Yeah, I
Anything
agree
else?
too. I agree with number secure should be number 3.
All right. So what do we have for number 1? Have you guys come to a consensus or?
I think number 1 is dismissive.
I agree.
It's a favor separation.
All right. So Richard agrees.
Yeah, I agree too.
Okay. So okay. So 2 is
2 would be anxious then.
Anxious, dismissive, anxious, secure. So the last one's fearful.
That's one's fearful. All right. So let's take a look. Number 1 is dismissive. Well done, team. Number 2, definitely anxious. All about the drama. Come on. Number 3, definitely secure. And of course, number 4 is fearful. Well done, guys.
Way to go,
Woo-woo.
everyone.
All right. So we're going to do the same thing, but with the second scenario. Okay. Your partner tells you that Kelly, someone they dated 5 years ago, is in town and they are going to meet up with them. So you, number 1, thank them for keeping you informed, ask them to keep you updated and go about your day. Number 2, tell them it's fine and start keeping a distance since they are clearly keeping their options open. Number 3, not really sure why you would want to meet next, but you're not worried. If they leave, they leave. Or number 4, get stressed out about why they would be interested in seeing next, then immediately search that person online.
That sounds like anxious.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys think the last one's anxious?
No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so what are the other 3 then?
Number 3 or 1 is secure, but I'm not.
What one looks like secure, yeah.
1.
Not really sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think one is secure.
I think number 1 is secure because number 3 just doesn't seem to care at all, which
Right?
would be more dismissive.
Yeah, and 2 is fearful because you just immediately keep your distance.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Are you guys good with that?
Yep.
All right, let's see what the answers are, people. Number 1 is secure. Number 2, fearful. 3 is dismissive. 4 is anxious. Well done, guys.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Anyone have any questions on those?
Nope.
No.
All right, cool. All right, so our detachment style is a factor in every relationship we have throughout our lives. It's the way that we can measure what secure and insecure means. An insecure attachment style is not your fault, but if you are not aware of it, then it'll be a factor in every relationship that you have. With a little effort and practice, being a conscious partner can help us to develop an earned secure attachment. So with the attachment style, it's developed from the time when you were born until about 3 years old. So we had nothing to do with what our actual attachment style is. So if you're unaware of it, then you won't be able to actually work on anything. All right. So group discussion. Do you recognize what your attachment style might be?
Yes.
Yes, I also have a sense of what my attachment style might be.
All right. Anyone want to share? You don't have to, but
I'm, what are they again? I had them S, A, and F, I guess, whatever you call them.
yeah. So
Secure, anxious, fearful, and dismissive.
Secure, anxious, fearful. I'm not dismissive, avoidant.
okay. Is there one that you lean the most towards, you think?
Secure.
All right. Anybody else?
I'm secure as well.
Okay.
I'm just curious, did anyone recognize themselves in some of the examples in terms of what they would do?
Yeah, I recently got out of back in October was the end of my first long-term relationship. And so it was the first time I spent years witnessing other people's relationships and sort of training myself. And so it was my first opportunity to actually put everything I learned from others to the test. And we had really good communication, really great arguments, and a lot of the secure behavior I feel like I'm boasting, but it was having gone 30 years single was actually a good way to train me for relationships because I felt really prepared ahead of time going in.
Yeah. Do you
Anyone
recognize?
else?
Yeah.
I'm pretty secure, and I notice myself in a lot of ways in those, but I would say that I tend to go for the other 3 groups. So
Alright.
I
Go
definitely
for in a
don't.
sense, Kaylin, do you mean you tend to date?
Yes, I
People who are
tend to
not
date
secure?
the other 3 groups. I don't usually go for the secure guys, I guess. Go figure.
Do you have an idea why you do that, or do you want to share, or?
Like Edison says, we're kind of conditioned. I also know that from the age of birth to about 5, whoever the main male influence in your life is, for a girl, is usually who you'll end up with or marry or kind of. So I do recognize that there's a pattern of going for someone like my father, which is not good. So I do recognize that, and I own that, and it's something I work on. That's why I've stayed single.
Yeah, well, the good thing about the things that happen when we're pre-programmed is that we don't, at one point, we realize that we don't have to follow that, right? Especially when
Yes.
we're aware, right? Would everybody agree? That's all we want to do, create awareness so that we don't do things that are not authentic to ourselves.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm the same way too. I realized that as I've like looked past my years, I'm more like my father. I also look for relationships almost like that, and then I catch myself in it, and then I'm like, no, this is not gonna work, and I put a stop to it and get out of it.
Good. That's good that you're aware.
Mm.
And how about the next question? Anybody recognize the attachment style of partners in previous relationships?
The three that aren't secure.
Yeah. Yeah, you shared that.
Yeah.
Most of my partners have been either secure or anxious. The nice thing about anxious people is they tend to be extremely affectionate, which is nice if you've been single for a very long time. But I don't have the patience usually to deal with fearful people. I don't have a lot of patience. And dismissive people is just like, I need passion, I need life, and they don't
Yes.
have a lot of it. So it's usually the secure and the anxious ones that are in my dating pool.
I think I'm secure and fearful partners. That's the two I've noticed.
Dismissive, avoidant.
Dismissive, yeah.
Avoidant. Yeah.
So do you guys think it would be valuable to know more about your attachment style?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't even know mine. I need to find mine.
Richard is nodding.
Yes, for sure. It's like the better I can know myself and my own needs, and the better I'm able to communicate with a partner and set my own boundaries and have a healthy relationship.
Yeah,
Oh, I am doing an event on attachment style on Tuesday. If anyone is free, would be at 5:30 your time.
yeah. So there's a whole event dedicated just to attachment style. We actually really get into it and have you understand it on a whole new different level and understand why you attract certain other attachment styles. And so, yeah, if any of you guys want to attend that, just let us know afterwards. And yeah, like Giselle was saying, she's doing one on Tuesday. So, and Jeremy's been out before, so awesome. Okay, cool. So attachment style. All right, so here's our second quote. If you want to find something that you have never experienced, you'll need to do something that you have never done. So any, before we move on, any last comments or thoughts on attachment style that you guys want to share? Or ask even, or questions? No? Okay, cool. All right, so like I said before, there's 48 different events with a conscious partner. And again, we want to be fun, they're affordable. For February, it's $50. That's for 4 different events. Okay, so for February, those are the topics: responsibility, how to trust again, protect, provide, procreate, and what we want in bed. And for some reason, anytime we have a topic that's based around sex, we have tons of guys. I don't know why.
Because I think about it every 2 seconds.
Oh, please. Every 3 seconds. Give us credit.
Every 3.
Uh-huh.
You guys will be surprised some of the conversations that go on in these events. It's quite eye-opening. But yeah, so anybody's interested, you can go on to aconsciouspartner.com and go to the events, February, and click on them. All right, so our second topic tonight is your sexual IQ. And if anybody's actually watching this live and you have some young people around, this is just a warning. We're going to chat about sexual IQ. All right, so have you ever had a relationship where the sexual experience ended up being far less satisfying than what you were hoping? Was there no more excitement? Did boredom set in? Did you both maybe have hidden thoughts and desires that you were scared to bring forward? Effective communication is vital to a healthy and exciting sex life. And there is one communication tool that is far more important than every other tool when communicating about sex. And that is to validate. So what does validate mean? Validation is how we communicate acceptance of others. It doesn't mean agreeing or approving. It's simply a way of supporting them and strengthening the relationship without placing judgment or shame. Validation conveys that you understand, recognize, and accept another person's thoughts and feelings, especially in situations where you may initially have a different opinion or feeling. Just like we all have different tastes in food, we will all have different sexual interests, fetishes, and fantasies. So what should we do when our partner's possible interests don't exactly turn us on? We get curious. And there's actually a really great event called Curious or Defensive. Okay, and so if you ask someone their private turn on and they open up, they're inviting you to open the gate to their inner world. If your initial response is negative, or worse, if you're openly disgusted, you're effectively slamming the gate and running off into the wilderness. That gate will never open again. By closing off the conversation or reacting with disgust, we induce shame and guilt in our partner. You guys ever think about that?
Mm-hmm.
So once that gate slams shut, there's now an emotional barrier in the relationship. That'll take an enormous amount of time and effort to actually break down. Emotional barriers are invisible walls or blocks that have you keeping your guard up and not being completely open in the relationship. These barriers prevent us from being fully mentally and emotionally engaged, vulnerable, or trusting with our partner or in our relationship. By remaining curious and open, we're asking the other person, who are you? We don't have to agree or disagree. We can simply find out more about who they are, which creates space, acceptance, and room for play. And so think about your past experiences. Have you been defensive or curious? And like I said before, there's an amazing event called Defensive or Curious.
I'm curious, not defensive.
All right.
I'm curious, but then I turn into defensive later.
I'm insatiably curious, especially where religion deprived me of a lot of carnal knowledge throughout my youth.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do, going to share 3 sexual scenarios with you. And in each scenario, your partner is asking you a question. And we want you to discuss and come up with 2 different responses. 1, a defensive response, okay, that has the potential to shame your partner and build emotional barriers in the relationship. And the second one is a curious response, one that may not approve. That's where you're not approving or disapproving, but you're starting and you open up a conversation. You're helping discover who your partner is. The goal is to allow them to talk more about what they want. So it's not about being disgusted, or saying no, or it's also not jumping right in. Ooh, okay, let's do this. It's more about, okay, it's about starting a conversation. Kaylin laughs. Awesome. Okay, does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. Okay, scenario. My partner asks me if we can try putting a rubber duck between us so that it will squeak while we have sex.
You want two answers for that?
Right? So what do you think a defensive response would be?
Hell no.
Hell no. Yeah, that's definitely defensive. What else?
What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? Yeah. How about one more?
Does this mean you're into having sex with animals, you pervert?
Oh
Nice.
my.
Anybody else got one?
I think Jeremy's response was quite spicy already.
Or you can just say you can have sex with a squeaky duck and they'll just walk away.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. All great answers. We just put down, are you crazy? I'm not doing that. I'm out of here. Okay, so what would a curious response be?
I'm willing to consider the notion.
I'm interested in trying. I'd like to know more.
Okay.
Something new, so cross it off the bucket list.
Okay.
What size duck did you have in mind?
Well, that's a great question, yeah. Any other?
Be like, how did you come up with that? It sounds interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Because rubber duckies make bath time fun.
Can we start with a squeaky cat and take it from there?
All great responses. Okay, so we wrote down, well, that is something I've never discussed before. Can you tell me what it is about that turns you on? Right, so again, curious is about opening up the discussion. You're not saying yes and you're not saying no. Right, because remember, the moment you say no, basically you create an emotional barrier. And there's many ways of doing that. You don't even have to say something. You can make a face. If you make a face of disgust or whatever, that'll basically put up a wall right up, right? And if you think about it, when someone comes to you with a fantasy or a fetish or something, right, they're probably not telling you the extreme version of what they really want when they first start. They're probably starting with something small to see if you're even open to it, right? So if you crush that possibility right away, then they're never actually going to open up to what they truly want. And when that happens, you actually create an emotional barrier. All right. So we're going to do the same thing, okay? But now there's 3 different scenarios, okay? So my partner suggests that we go to the Lovers Boutique and look at some of the toys that they have there. My partner suggests that we meet each other in the lounge of a fancy hotel, dressed up and acting as strangers, meeting at the bar. 3rd scenario, my partner suggests that we go to a clothing optional resort in Mexico.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so 3 different scenarios, looking for a defensive response and a curious response. Okay, so I'll let you guys discuss amongst yourself and go from there.
One for each? Like 2, you could be like, are you nuts? There's people around.
For number 3, you could definitely accuse them of wanting to look at other people naked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Agree.
why don't you
For
guys
people like-
start with the first one, and then we'll,
Like his answer for 3 could be almost the same as number 1. Why is our sex life boring?
Mhm.
Right? It's, I don't want to go.
Mhm.
Am I not enough for you?
Yeah.
I guess a curious one for number 1 could be like, oh, I didn't know you were into toys. What kind of toys?
Yes.
Mhm.
It's a great one. Yeah.
I've never used toys. What kind of ideas do you have?
Okay, so okay, so yes, since we're all in one room, I'll just go together with you. Okay, yeah. So you had some great responses. So any other defensive that you guys can think of?
partner doesn't think you have a good, like, I don't know, like relationship. Like he thinks that there should be more. So this is the way he's opening up to you and getting you to show certain things. So it can't be really defensive. It depends on the scenario and what's happening in the relationship.
And so what we got was not a chance. Why would you even think that? What would happen if people we know saw us going in there?
Good one.
Right? Just an example. Obviously, there's numerous defensive responses, right? And then, so how else could you be curious? Chantel gave a great response. How about another one?
You could ask them what they kind of like want to role play with them, or like what their plans are. Do you know what I mean? Like scenarios.
Yeah, like what interests them a lot and
Yeah.
what just thought of them going to the store. Like, yeah.
Could
Okay,
we
well,
start looking at an online shop and maybe take it from there?
so what we
Yeah.
got is, well, that would make me a little nervous, but can you tell me what kind of toys you would like to see? Right? So instead of saying, oh, I don't know about that, or why are you even thinking that, right? Being curious is like, oh, okay, it's okay to be nervous, right? It's okay to have emotions. It's just about opening up the dialogue, right? So, oh, okay, so I'm a little nervous, but what would you like to see? Right? Very simple. Okay, so then the next scenario, my partner suggests that we meet each other in the lounge of a fancy hotel, dressed up and acting as strangers meeting at the bar. So what would a few defensive responses be?
Why would we do that? We already know each other, or that's so weird.
Yep, that's definitely defensive.
Or it can be like, why you don't like seeing me in public? Like, what's wrong with us now?
You want me to be someone different? Why?
Yeah.
Why do you want to meet a stranger?
Mm-hmm.
Are you bored with me?
Mm-hmm.
Am I
Yeah,
not good enough?
definitely all defensive responses. Any other ones that you guys want to share? Okay, well, what we had was, that's just weird. Why do we need to dress up as others? Don't you think we are good enough? All right, so how about curious?
Want me to wear anything in
If
particular?
you like role playing, maybe just start at home first.
Okay, yeah.
Fair enough.
What
You could say
turns you
something.
on about dressing up?
Yeah.
You could also say something like, I wonder how you came up with this idea, or tell me more about it.
Yep.
Or just why do you want to act like someone else? How come you can't be yourself? So are you afraid of being who you are?
Well, that's
Because you want to act like strangers in public, then why can't you just be yourself? Like, why do you have to dress up and act like strangers?
yeah. Well, this is just a fantasy that someone may have, right?
Yeah.
So being curious is about opening up a dialogue, not saying yes, not saying no, and not putting anything down, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we had was, do you mean like Julie the pharmaceutical rep and Ted the pilot staying at the hotel overnight? Right? Yeah, it's just role playing, but again, it's just asking clarification. That's all it is, right? You didn't say, right? If you read it, you didn't say yes, but you didn't say no either. It's just communication and getting clarification. All right, and so the last scenario, my partner suggests that we go to a clothing optional resort in Mexico. So Jeremy, you had already said one. What other defensive responses you guys got?
I'm not doing that, so you're going on your own.
That's definitely defensive. Shuts it down right away. Yeah. Any other ideas? Jeremy, what did you say before?
I said you just want to see other people naked.
That's right. Yeah, okay. Well,
One that came up the other day, sorry, Edison, that was really funny. It was, you want to do what with that body?
Oof.
that's a good one.
That's pretty defensive.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So we got here, you just want to go and check out all the hot bodies. Right? So essentially, you're saying no, right? And you're just shutting the other person down. Now there's an emotional barrier. So how can we become curious and open up a dialogue and discussion?
Well, what is it about that experience that appeals to you?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Maybe I didn't know you like that. When is our flight?
Any other ideas?
Can we start going to Wreck Beach with our clothes on and then see if we want to take them off?
And so what we got down was that might be interesting. Are there different kinds of places? We can certainly chat and discuss expectations. Right? It's very neutral, just open up a discussion, talking about, okay, what are you thinking? What are the expectations? Can you guys see the difference? And
Yes.
how a defensive response would be compared to what a curious is?
Mhm.
How a defensive can put up a wall versus a curious response can open up a discussion and a deeper connection, actually.
One validates while the other shames.
Yeah. Okay, so sexual IQ is not about what we do, what we accept, or what we desire. The purpose of sexual IQ is the development of both awareness and understanding to eliminate the fear. Because when we're aware, we develop the ability to keep an open mind and understand that words are just words. Fantasies are mostly about the mind, and that openness and vulnerability are the keys to any great relationship. That's it for the sexual IQ part. So that's the shortened version of the dating games.
Awesome.
Did the sexual IQ stuff, did that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yes.
Yep.
So how much do you think you would learn about someone, let's say, that you've never met before in a situation like this? When you're watching them answer the questions, how they answer the questions, do you think that you could learn about them more than you would than if you were just sitting across the table and having coffee?
Learn more because you're finding more about their attachments and their weaknesses or strengths. So I think this is more in detail.
This is more focused
Yeah.
on certain topics. There's no deviation. So you're focused for 1 hour on what is at hand. You know, it's
Yeah, is
You're
it
not
something that
like-
would be valuable?
oh yeah, it's definitely valuable to know all these things in any relationship. Or even for yourself. Because like the sexual IQ, some people don't even know what their fantasies are because they haven't explored that within themselves, so they can't share with others.
Wouldn't it be
These
good-
kind of prompts.
Sorry, go ahead.
So these kind of prompts are great for stirring discussion because a lot of these topics are things people are innately curious about, especially if they're dating. But a lot of people struggle to initiate these kind of conversations. So having these
Yeah.
kind of prompts, it gives a sort of comfortable, structured environment in which to explore these kind of things where someone can feel comfortable, where they might have trouble sort of blazing a trail into this kind of topic.
Mhm. And it's a pretty safe environment, right?
Yeah, it's like dating therapy.
Yeah, and you're not staying long. It's not like an hour, 2 hours sitting talking to one person. You get to switch. They would switch you around, and you meet three new people, and then you switch again, and you meet three new people. Right?
What?
Yeah.
So, like you said, if you're open, right, it brings in intimacy and sexual relationships and keeps a relationship. So I'm curious to ask if you're super open and it scares people. That is my question on sexual IQ.
Well, it's
So
nothing
we,
the other way.
go ahead, Edison. Go ahead.
I said, it really is nothing than the other way, where maybe you're not that open, right? It's just about asking and putting it out there. And
I know, but if you're in a relationship constantly, like I'm a very open person, very open. I'll put that out there.
Yeah.
And I intimidate or scare a lot of guys, and they have shut down sexually.
So do you, and you said you were curious, right? So is there anything about what you say you think that would make them not being vulnerable? Or if you're curious and you set an environment where they can be vulnerable then they're not, doesn't that tell you something about them?
Yes, and that's what I'm
Right.
wondering, right? Because
Right? And then if you know their attachment style, then you might know why they're like that. Is it because they're avoidant, or are they fearful avoidant, or are they dismissive avoidant? Right?
okay,
So it's
that
telling
makes
you a
more
little bit
sense.
more. Yeah.
That makes more sense to me then.
yeah, these topics are just focused on certain topics, but there's just so many things that you should learn and understand to really understand the full scope of whatever situation you're in. Right? We're just talking about a couple things tonight. But
Richard, so you were sorry, Edison, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. I just saw that Richard was nodding when we talked about attachment style. So I don't know if there's anything you wanted to share, or if you had experienced that, or.
Yeah, certainly I can chime in. What I was going to respond to Caitlin about was, well, it seems like you know what you want and what you value, and you're a very open person. So it's, as Dr. Giselle said, if the other partner is not reciprocating, then that tells you a lot that they're not matching your sort of vibe and energy that you're putting out. And as long as you know what you want and you're confident with that, then it's just a matter of finding people that align with that rather than, yeah, I guess conforming yourself to the other person's expectations.
Agree 100% on that. And I like your input. I'm always open to learning and other people's advice or opinions. So thank you.
now, just think about this. What if you knew enough about a person before actually getting in a relationship with them? How valuable would that be? Right? Because sometimes we might think, ooh, you know, I could never go for a bald guy. Let's just say that. But then you meet him at an event like this, and he's like, you know, and the bald guy starts to share some answers, share some of his thoughts, and you're like, oh, I like what he just said. Oh, I like his values. That lines with a lot of what I'm looking for. But previously, if you're on a dating app, you would have swiped left. Right? So these events are really an opportunity for people to, it's not necessarily to date everyone in the group, right? It's really just to develop your emotional tools, right? So that when you get into a relationship in the future, that you have some tools to actually work with in your emotional toolbox, right? And so as we do these events, how people show up and how people answer will tell you a lot about how they are, right? And through the interaction, it can actually help you determine, oh, is this actually someone I want to potentially get to know more? Instead of, you know, what's the traditional way? Oh, I'll date this guy or this girl for like 6 months or 3 months to see if we, you know, if I want to be exclusive, right? That's a lot of time and energy. right? We're hoping to help people not just to find their mate, but to develop people to be ready for their future partner.
Well, Kaylin, I feel I'm a lot like you. I've always had a hard time getting into relationships because I tend to overwhelm people. I'm a bit too much of me all at once. But I found when I try to hold myself back and be subtle, and subtlety doesn't work for me. But when I try to be subtle, I'll get farther along with more people. But then I'm always having to make a habit of being subtle and second guessing myself and constructing my sentences in my head before I say them and all this stuff. And I end up compromising my own security trying to not offend this other person. And so I found what works best for me is just to be forward, open, and overwhelming right off the bat before I have a chance to get attached to them, because then those who will be overwhelmed will run away, screaming. And those who are actually compatible with me at that level will latch on to that right away. And so like that, there's no, games being played, no second guessing, either they're into it or they're not, but at least I get to be myself and find out who's into it and who isn't.
Yeah. I appreciate that, and I have no issue really holding back. I can be pretty opinionated and blunt, and no games. Tell it how it is. I think though that I have a very bad habit of attracting people that aren't at that space, like you or I, or other people that are more vulnerable or open right off the hop. And months in, they're still in that spot of no vulnerability, walls and guarded, which just doesn't work for me. And then I end up, like you said, in my head thinking before I speak, and I'm not living authentically or being authentic in the relationship.
That's the word I was going to use, right? Authenticity. It's really important to be authentic and to be yourself, because if you're not, at one point you're going to resent the person, resent yourself, and you're not living your core values, right? So it's really, truly important. But it's interesting to say, Kaylin, it's interesting that I hear you say that you seem to attract people who tend to be insecure, and there's got to be a reason for that. It would be something really interesting for you to look at and wonder also why those people are attracted to you. What is it that they see in you, right?
I know a lot of them, because a lot of my exes have a habit of coming back even 20 years later, though I won't take them back. It's my openness and my bluntness that originally shunned them off is why now they come back, because they realize how honest I am, or how true the things I said that they originally didn't want to listen to or hear were correct. But I also have a habit of going, like I said, for people like my father, what I grew up with. I'm a caring person. I am an empath, so I don't know if that means also like I want to fix somebody. I know I do want to see people do better.
Yeah. So from what you think, did you do the attachment style? Did you take the test? I'm just wondering if you're not more towards dismissive.
I've done the test.
Secure.
Yeah. No. Not.
Like
submissive doesn't even. None of those even ring close to how I am or feel.
Interesting. Yeah, and we have to remember there's no bad attachment style. They're all good. We're all good people. It's just a different way that we, some people are secure, some people insecure in our attachment. It's not a psychological thing. It's a learned behavior. So we can unlearn it. It takes some effort, but it's possible, right?
So Kaylin, you said that it took you, 3 months to know that he wasn't okay with how you were?
Not 3 months completely. Little signs here and there, red flags that I ignored. Yeah. But full on 3 months where it was, no more intimacy, him not wanting to break up, crappy behavior. I don't like the sound of your voice. I don't like the way you look. Shut up.
Yeah.
I've, um,
So
blah, blah, blah.
So how valuable it would be if you were able to invite someone that you're interested in into something like this? Say, hey, let's go have some fun and learn about each other.
Invite who?
Like, let's say somebody that you might be interested in, right? That you haven't committed into a relationship yet. And I'm asking all of you actually, right?
That's a whole nother.
Because you're here and you're open to learning this stuff.
Yes.
And if they're not open to coming out,
I'm not. I have nobody on my radar at the moment. Okay, I'll be open here. I have dated all races. Black, Native, mixed, white, you name it. In the last few years, my preference is Asian. And I would say that's hard to find, even though I live in Burnaby. So I don't have my hopes up unless I meet a white guy or something. But finding an Asian guy at this moment in time, no.
I have a question that could be, so let's say you find that person, right? And
Then I would
appearance.
ask them.
But what about, how you connect with them, all the connections that you have with them? How about the core values? Because they can be exactly what you want physically, but if you don't connect on all the other aspects, it might.
If I don't connect with you on the other aspects, physical means nothing to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. It's not fully. My physical preferences, if you lined up my exes, none of them look the same. My kid's dad was over 300 pounds when I met him. And then I've dated people the size of Edison. So that is not, personality reigns supreme for me. And if you don't have it and we don't connect on that level, I'm not even giving you the time of day, to be honest. And don't come at me with, oh, hey, baby. Shut down. I'm done. Your chance is over. Don't, until you know me, don't. So, and my ex is 10 years older, and I've also dated all the way down. When I was 30, I was dating a 21-year-old. I've dated the realm. It's just been my preference in the last few years. But I wouldn't say I'm the typical type for Asian men. Sorry, you two.
all you have to be ever is yourself, Caleb. That's all.
I know, but I'm just saying, body-wise and everything else, based on my experience or conversations, because I've had, stranger to stranger conversations over Craigslist, without knowing the person on this topic of interracial dating and just dating in general.
Ooh.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else want to share anything or any thoughts or discussions?
Yeah.
Did you say something, Renisa?
I said no, I'm good.
No. Okay, cool. Well, in that case, if we're all good here, then we can call it a night. And thank you so much for coming out.
Bye, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you. Nice to meet everyone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hopefully we connect again soon, all of you.
That's nice. Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We'll have these again.